Have you ever seen a first dance so good that even a legendary judge had to stop and say, "That was the best I've ever seen"? Well, last night, in a ballroom filled with glitter, nerves, and anticipation, something truly remarkable happened on Dancing with the Stars Season 34. And it wasn't just about the dancing. It was about history being made, a legacy being honored, and a moment that left even Derek Hough stunned. Yes, we're talking about Robert Irwin's sensational debut. A performance that has everyone buzzing today, from fans to critics to longtime DWTS viewers. Dancing with the Stars returned for its 34th season, marking 20 incredible years on air. And what a premiere it was! The ballroom was alive with energy as celebrities from across the entertainment world stepped out to show not just their moves, but their stories, their challenges, and their determination to shine. From athletes to actors, influencers to comedians, this season's lineup is one of the most eclectic in years. But let's be honest, while all eyes were on the new cast, no one could have predicted the night's most unforgettable moment. Robert Irwin, son of the late wildlife icon Steve Irwin and brother to season 21 champion Bindi Irwin, took the floor with professional partner Whitney Carson. And what unfolded wasn't just a dance. It was a story. The audience held its breath, the judges leaned in, and by the end, Derek Hough was left declaring it the best first dance he had ever witnessed in the history of the show. Think about that for a second. After 34 seasons, hundreds of celebrities, countless performances, Derek Hough, one of the greatest dancers and choreographers alive, said Robert's debut was the best he had ever seen. Now, let's rewind a little. This season's premiere wasn't without its surprises. Carrie and Inaba, one of the show's staple judges, was absent due to illness. That meant the scoring dynamic was different, with just Bruno Tonioli and Derek Hough on the panel. Contestants were judged out of 20 instead of the traditional 30, creating even more pressure to deliver right out of the gate. But if Robert felt the weight of that, you wouldn't know it from the way he moved across the floor. Calm, confident, and connected. He danced as though he had been waiting his entire life for that moment. And perhaps, in some way, he had. Robert Irwin grew up in the public eye, carrying the legacy of his father while forging his own path as a conservationist and television personality. But stepping into this ballroom, he carried something more. The weight of expectations, the comparisons to his sister Bindi, and the eyes of millions watching to see if he could rise to the challenge. Spoiler alert, he didn't just rise. He soared. Think about the symbolism here. 10 years ago, Bindi Irwin won Dancing with the Stars with none other than Derek Hough as her partner. Her journey was about strength, vulnerability, and honoring her family's legacy. Now, a decade later, her younger brother is on the same stage, dancing his heart out and being called the best debut performer in the show's history. If that's not a full-circle moment, what is? But let's pause here and ask, how often do we actually see a perfect storm in entertainment? The right performer, the right partner, the right night, and the right reaction? Rarely. Yet, that's exactly what made Robert's performance so powerful. It wasn't just his footwork or his timing. It was the emotion he brought to every movement. The judges weren't just watching choreography, they were witnessing authenticity. And that's what makes Dancing with the Stars still relevant after 2 decades. Sure, it's about celebrities learning to dance. But at its core, it's about transformation, about the power of performance to connect us, to inspire us, and to surprise us. One by one, the other contestants shared their journeys. Danielle Fishel reflected on her fight against cancer. Corey Feldman bravely revealed he was competing despite scoliosis. Ilaria Baldwin returned to dance after battling through a hip injury. Andy Richter, always the comedian, admitted his main reason for joining was the paycheck, a moment of levity that drew laughs from the crowd. Every story was compelling in its own way, but Robert stood apart, not because his challenges were greater, but because his delivery was undeniable. When the scores came in, Robert and Whitney walked away tied for the night's highest score, a 15 out of 20. But numbers alone didn't tell the story. The true victory was the declaration from Derek Hough. Remember, Derek doesn't hand out that kind of praise lightly. To say it was the best first dance in DWTS history is a statement that will be replayed again and again. Now, let me drop a question for you. Was this just the beginning of Robert Irwin's journey to mirror ball glory? Or was it one of those rare nights where the stars align and everything feels bigger than just the competition? Fans are already buzzing online, predicting Robert as the front-runner of the season. And honestly, after a start like that, who could argue? But here's where things get even more interesting. Next week, the competition intensifies with a double elimination. That means 2 couples will be leaving the ballroom. The stakes are higher, the pressure is mounting, and every performance will matter. Will Robert continue to rise to the occasion? Will others surprise us and challenge his momentum? Or will this season prove to be one of the most unpredictable yet? And let's not forget, the chemistry between Robert and Whitney Carson deserves its own mention. Whitney is a seasoned pro, and she knows how to bring out the best in her partners. But with Robert, there's an undeniable energy, a partnership that feels natural, playful, and inspiring. Audiences can feel that connection, and in a show like DWTS, connection is everything. What also makes Robert's journey so compelling is how it intertwines with his family's legacy. Steve Irwin was a global icon, someone who touched millions through his passion for wildlife and conservation. Bindi carried that torch into the DWTS ballroom and won hearts worldwide. And now Robert is stepping into that same spotlight, not to copy his sister or his father, but to create his own moment. This is more than entertainment. It's generational storytelling. And perhaps that's why Derek's words carried so much weight. He wasn't just complimenting technique. He was acknowledging the emotional resonance that Robert brought to the stage. As the night ended, no one was eliminated, a tradition for DWTS premieres. But make no mistake, the competition is very real. With names like Jordan Childs, Baron Davis, and Lauren Joregi in the mix, this season has talent, heart, and personality. Yet, even with such a diverse cast, Robert Irwin has already positioned himself as the one to watch. So, as we look ahead, here's the question to keep in mind. Can Robert keep the momentum going? Can he live up to the massive praise he's already received? Or will the pressure of being the frontrunner weigh him down in the weeks ahead? Only time will tell. One thing, however, is certain. Dancing with the Stars Season 34 didn't just start with a premiere. It started with a moment so powerful that it reminded us why this show continues to captivate after 20 years. It reminded us that in the world of reality television, authenticity still shines brightest. And as Derek Hough said so perfectly, Robert Irwin didn't just dance. He gave us the best first dance in Dancing with the Stars history. So what did you think of Robert Irwin's debut? Do you agree with Derek Hough's bold statement? Or do you think another star will step up and steal the spotlight in the coming weeks? One thing is for sure, this season has already delivered something unforgettable, and we're only just getting started.